On November 11th, 11/11 at 11:11, the world plunges into an era of apocalypse, marked by the appearance of a terrifying creature with burning red eyes and a snarling maw. Chaos unfolds in the office space. The infected attack people, bloodstains are everywhere, and one of the women screams in horror. A frightened girl with long chestnut hair tries to crawl away from several bloodthirsty monsters with burning eyes chasing her, begging them to leave her alone. Determined to survive to meet her parents, the girl decides she can take shelter in the nearest warehouse to wait out the danger. Carefully peeking from behind the doorway, she looks at the light-filled corridor with horror and tears in her eyes before taking the next step. Hiding, the girl watches as one of the infected with a burning eye crawls across the tiled floor, leaving bloody streaks and making scraping sounds. In a desperate attempt to save Lu Xin, the man attacked by the monster shouts with all his might for her to run away immediately. Lu Xin falls to the floor in shock, dropping a blue pen. Her face is twisted in horror at what she has seen, and her hair flutters from the sudden movement. Before her eyes appears a chilling scene. In the break room where a clock hangs on the wall, an infected with red eyes stands over a lifeless body, filling her with icy fear. Without losing a second, the zombie fiercely lunges at her with an outstretched hand. Lu Xin, covering her mouth with her hand, pleads for help with terror in her eyes. Someone's booted foot slams forcefully onto the floor. A man with a sword in hand jumps into the air, attacking the infected. In a dynamic motion, the man with the sword slices through the infected. The man with a determined look, holding the sword, stands against a background notification of earning 10 points for killing a level 1 zombie. Lu Xin, with tears in her eyes, looks up with hope. The man with the sword stands over Lu Xin, addressing her by name. A bloodied infected with burning eyes lunges at Lu Xin. The man, focusing his gaze, raises his sword to strike. He protects Lu Xin from the infected's attack, earning another 10 points for the kill. The man named Yunqi grabs Lu Xin's hand and orders her to get up and run, while she agrees in confusion. From bottom to top, a corridor with large windows is visible, where infected fall one after another, leaving bloody trails. Many infected continue to fall down, and Lu Xin mentally cannot believe what is happening to Yunqi. With horror on her face and tears in her eyes, Lu Xin wonders if this is a dream, and if the apocalypse has truly come. The man with a determined look and glowing eyes also contemplates whether what is happening is a dream or reality. Yunqi, who turns out to be a 21-year-old heir of a wealthy family working undercover, drags Lu Xin by the hand as they flee from a crowd of zombies through the office. 10 minutes earlier, Yunqi was calmly walking through a normal office space with a briefcase in hand. Lu Xin approached him, asking if he was working overtime today, and mentioned she was afraid of the prophecy about the apocalypse, asking him to escort her home. Yunqi smiles and brushes off her fears, saying the prophecy is already 10 years old and even children don't believe it, to which Lu Xin shyly asks again. The man turns around with a slight smirk and asks if she is really afraid, and Lu Xin confirms her fears with exaggerated fright. The girl in chibi style smugly thinks that no one can resist her charm. Yunqi loudly announces to the entire office that the office goddess is afraid of the apocalypse and is looking for someone to escort her home, shocking Lu Xin. Several male colleagues eagerly offer to escort Lu Xin, while she happily accepts their attention. Lu Xin irritably thinks it's no wonder Yunqi doesn't have a girlfriend. Yunqi opens a desk drawer, pondering the apocalypse.
He sits at his desk with a slight smile, considering it a good excuse.
Rows of soldiers and tanks line the city streets, ready for the apocalypse predicted 10 years ago by the supercomputer Titan. Fighter jets fly across the sky while the military urges everyone to go home and lock doors and windows due to the impending apocalypse, causing some surprise. Two men look up at the sky. One asks fearfully if the apocalypse will really come, and the other confirms it is Titan's prophecy, and that it's better to die at home. A man watches the news reporting the end of martial law since November 11th passed without incident in various years, and he irritably wonders why everyone is so strict if the apocalypse hasn't happened yet. Yunqi smiles and suggests to a colleague to go to the movies after work on the day of the apocalypse, to which she happily agrees while he thinks the prophecy is no longer taken seriously. The hero with a sly grin and glowing eyes thinks he doesn't have time for that and is interested in something else. In an open desk drawer on a dark lining lies a large black sword with blue inlays, and next to it is a note with hieroglyphs. A colleague holding a mug mockingly asks Yunqi why, as an adult, he buys models, while he thinks with a drop of sweat on his temple. Models? The man holds a note from Yunqi stating that this sword is made of ultra-durable material intended for self-defense. and he reflects that it's not a toy, but a high-tech weapon. Yunqi, standing by his desk, looks at the note in surprise, which asks when he will return home after 3 years of absence, and wonders how it even got there. Leaning over the desk drawer, he holds the note asking about his return home after 3 years away, and thoughtfully repeats, 3 years. Yunqi, briefcase in hand, leaves the gates of a luxurious mansion, thinking that he has escaped the life predetermined by his family, and it's time to end his irresponsible absence. The hero, with a slight smile and closed eyes, decides he will return home as soon as he gets paid tomorrow. Suddenly, a loud alarm sounds, flooding the entire office with red light, and people begin to panic and scatter. Yunqi, wearing a vest over his shirt, turns around in surprise at the sound of the siren, with a speech bubble saying, "Huh?" The man looks up in bewilderment through the glass ceiling, over which people are running, and the speech bubble again shows, "Huh?" A huge planet blazing red approaches Earth, and people panic and fall from skyscrapers. 3 office workers watch the approaching planet in horror. One asks if this is really Titan's prophecy about the dark star and why there were no official news reports. Another panics, wanting to go home, and the third fears the planet will collide with Earth. Amid panicking people, a system message appears welcoming humanity to a global apocalyptic game where they lose their human identity and become monsters or NPCs, with 24 hours to warm up, earn points, and level up before the real game begins. Yunqi, with glowing blue eyes, reads the continuation of the message stating that NPCs cannot kill players, but players can kill NPCs, and that death in the game equals real death, after which he wonders who the players actually are. People in the office fall to the floor as blue holographic interfaces appear before them, while a system message announces activation of global communication mode, opening of the game channel, closure of all previous communication methods, and the need to choose a profession within 5 minutes. Yunqi looks at his personal game interface showing his name, NPC rank Novice Village, level 1, 0.0200, stats of strength, agility, intelligence, and constitution, as well as information that he currently has no profession, talent, specialization, or skills. Thinking it resembles a holographic game interface. A holographic window appears before the young man offering to choose a profession with a next step button. Yunqi looks resolutely at the interface, preparing to press the button, thinking that if this is truly the apocalypse, it's best to choose a profession seriously to survive the early stage. A profession card for warrior appears before the hero, with strength as the main attribute and constitution as secondary, describing the bloodthirst effect that increases strength and attack speed. Next, a profession card for mage is displayed, with intelligence as the main attribute, constitution as secondary, and a note about increasing spellcasting speed by 15%. Then Yunqi sees the knight profession card, where constitution is the primary attribute and strength is secondary, and he thinks the knight looks quite strong. Looking at the profession selection interface, he touches the sword lying on the table, thinking it will come in handy if he chooses warrior or knight. The sword on the table suddenly flashes brightly with a blue light emanating from its center. Surrounded by a greenish-blue glow, Yunqi reads with surprise a system message about receiving the unique SSS rank profession Phantom Knight due to detected anomalous energy within him. A close-up shows the intimidating helmet of the Phantom Knight with a brightly glowing blue eye. A description of the Phantom Knight profession appears, with main attributes constitution, strength, and intelligence, and a specialization death and decay that allows placing an unremovable death mark on a target. Yunqi, with a drop of sweat on his temple and a determined expression, realizes that with the death mark he can kill even players and wonders if this is a game error. The system congratulates the hero on awakening the personal talent Child of the Plane, which allows greatly enhancing up to 3 non-combat attributes, and he happily thinks such bonuses for a newbie are like cheating. A system message announces that the profession selection will end 5 seconds after the game starts, and one employee panics, shouting that he hasn't made his choice yet. During the countdown, Yunqi and other employees look around in confusion, while someone complains about the unfairness of some having professions and others not. A close-up shows Yunqi's determined gaze with pink glowing eyes as the number 1 appears on the screen. On a blood-red background with black streaks appears a message announcing the start of the apocalyptic game. One office worker painfully transforms into a zombie with burning red eyes, making hoarse sounds and coughing up blood. Lucian recoils in horror, asking what happened to her colleagues and begging not to scare her as she sees silhouettes of transforming people before her. A zombified colleague with burning eyes attacks Lu Xin, pinning her to the floor, accompanied by a sound effect of a hit. A close-up shows the zombie biting Lu Xin's shoulder, from which blood spurts. Lu Xin screams, "Zombie!" with a face distorted by horror and wide eyes, watching infected attacking other people in the office. A female zombie with gray skin, burning red eyes and bared teeth growls, preparing to attack. Yunqi realizes with horror that these zombies are contagious, judging by his frightened expression and drop of sweat. A zombified female colleague with burning red eyes and disheveled hair swiftly dives down from above, preparing to attack. One colleague panics and runs away, wildly waving his arms and screaming in terror. Yunqi sharply turns and deflects a zombie's attack with his sword, protecting another colleague who watches in horror. The colleague shouts at him to run and not let the zombie scratch him, to which Yunqi calmly thinks with glowing eyes, "Oh, all right." A close-up shows the zombie's vicious snarl with a bright red glowing eye and dripping saliva. The hero with a sword in hand runs decisively through the blood-soaked office, followed by Lu Xin, while other employees turn into zombies. Yunqi and Lu Xin run down a corridor after hearing someone call to follow in a certain direction. The girl anxiously turns to Yunqi, warning him about a sound ahead. He sharply raises his sword, preparing to block an attack from a frightened colleague in glasses who shouts, "Die, monster!" as he lunges at him from around the corner. The guy stops his sword right in front of the colleague in glasses, who falls to his knees begging not to be killed, insisting he is human, not a zombie. The colleague in glasses looks at the tip of the sword at his neck, with a scared and surprised face while Yunqi asks if it is Liu Yan. The guys walk down the blood-stained corridor, and he advises Liu Yan, who is getting up from the floor, to be more careful and not to jump out so suddenly. Liu Yan angrily shouts after Yunqi, accusing him of betrayal and asking if he is even human for abandoning a colleague in trouble. The guy, standing with his back to Liu Yan and glowing eyes, coldly thinks that someone who constantly stole his ideas and caused colleagues to have miscarriages is definitely not human. Liu Yan, with a face distorted by anger and bulging eyes, shouts in shock, "What did you say?" Yunqi decisively says, "Let's go," and leaves with Lu Xin while Liu Yan desperately reaches out, begging them not to leave and offering to join forces since his profession is knight. The girl anxiously looks at Yunqi, saying that Liu Yan is a knight and must be very strong. Yunqi, with a stern look and glowing blue eyes, thinks that no strong profession can change the fact that Liu Yan is a scoundrel. Liu Yan falls to the floor next to a discarded sword, muttering, "Damn." Lying on the floor, Liu Yan angrily looks up at Yunqi standing over him with a sword and shouts how dare he look down on him, while Lu Xin screams, "Watch out!" in horror. The hero tightly grips the hilt of his glowing blue sword, readying for action, accompanied by the sound effect of a swing. Yunqi strikes with the sword, knocking Liu Yan back, whose face is twisted in pain and surprise as he flies backward. A suddenly appearing zombified colleague with burning red eyes and a bloodied suit looms over Liu Yan, demanding he hand over the sword. Liu Yan turns to the zombie in horror, his face distorted by fear, whispering, "Save me, save me." Yunqi and Lu Xin leave down the corridor while Liu Yan desperately reaches out to them, and the girl asks the guy if they really aren't going to save him, to which Yunqi replies, "Let's go." The hero, standing with his back to the girl, tells her to abandon her useless sanctity and clearly see what is happening. A close-up shows Yunqi's stern gaze with glowing blue eyes declaring that this is the apocalypse. A huge red planet ominously hangs over the ruined city, from whose buildings smoke billows and explosions are visible. Zombies have taken over the entire city, which has already descended into fire and chaos. Yunqi, with a sword in hand and bloodstains on his clothes, stands in a light-filled corridor and tells Lu Xin, seen from behind, not to be so naive anymore. The hero with glowing blue eyes and a stern expression warns that otherwise she will sooner or later become a victim. Lu Xin, with a drop of sweat on her temple and a frightened, confused look, listens to Yunqi's words. Yunqi runs down the corridor ahead of Lu Xin, saying there are too many zombies here and they need to find a safe place. He turns at the girl's call, who saw another girl peeking from behind a door. A happily smiling girl in an office suit peeks out from the doorway, and Lu Xin recognizes her as Jia with surprise. Two enraged zombies with burning red eyes and tongues sticking out growl as they pound on the glass door trying to break through. The guys anxiously watch as two zombies in bloodied suits loudly roar and continue to batter the glass doors of the office. Yunqi, with his characteristic icy gaze and glowing eyes, grimly states that many have turned into zombies, and only 7 survivors remain. In a spacious conference room, against the backdrop of a city burning outside the window, 7 survivors have gathered. Lu Xin stands tensely. Jia Jia sits frightened in a squat. Another girl adjusts her glasses. A man in glasses sits at the table. Another man stands dejectedly, and a sturdy man crosses his arms over his chest. Jaja sits squatting, hugging her knees with her arms, crying and lamenting how the world could have changed so suddenly. A man in a suit looks sternly at the crying girl in glasses who wants to go home, thinking that the main thing now is to survive until the zombies break in. Someone's fist slams forcefully onto the surface, and the speaker's thoughts accuse Jia Jia of letting people in, which caused them to run out of food and the door to be blocked by zombies. Company manager Cao Yutian shouts in rage, asking why others drag him along if they themselves want to die outside. Guard Zhao Nian, with bloodstains on his shirt, looks sternly at the manager, asking what he means. Yunqi recalls how Zhao Nian ran in after them, bringing several zombies with him, which caused panic among the others. Cao Yutian points a finger at Zhao Nian, accusing him of causing them to be blocked by zombies, and suggests that since he is covered in blood, he might be infected, and it would be better for him to die outside. Zhao Nian calls the manager a bastard and angrily advances on him, while Yunqi silently watches the scene with his sword. Zhao Nian grabs Cao Yutian by the collar, shouting that he has tolerated his antics for a long time, and asks if he really thinks he can mock others, to which the frightened manager threatens to fire him. With a face distorted by rage, Zhao Nian tells the manager this is the apocalypse, and since he called him a monster, he will show what a monster is capable of, while Cao Yutian begs him to stop in horror. Zhao Nian screams, "Ah!" as he drags Cao Yutian toward a broken window, and the latter shouts in horror that they are on the 17th floor and asks if the guard has gone mad. Yunqi, with a steely gaze, firmly grips the hilt of his sword, preparing to intervene. Zhao Nian forcefully pushes Cao Yutian out of the window, shouting, "Goodbye!" while the manager pleads with him not to kill him. A girl runs to Zhao Nian, who stands with his back to her and a grim face, shouting, "Wait!" Lu Xin, with a worried expression, explains to Zhao Nian that she is a mage and has awakened the talent of holy light capable of healing wounds, so she might be able to heal him so no one turns into a monster. Yunqi thinks irritably with a drop of sweat on his temple why this woman is so foolish and reveals information about herself so easily. Jaja lowers her head dejectedly, and 2 other colleagues watch anxiously as thoughts note that the greatest danger comes from those around them, and everyone is wary of each other, not revealing their professions. Lu Xin decisively approaches Zhao Nian, who still holds Cao Yutian by the broken window, while thoughts note that she has spoken up and will probably have big problems. Zhao Nian turns to Lu Xin with surprise and distrust, asking if she really is a mage. Cao Yutian, still held by Zhao Nian at the edge of the abyss, shouts to the guard that he heard Lu Xin can heal him, and that he needs to go to her as Lu Xin approaches, while Yunqi and others watch the scene against the backdrop of the broken window. Zhao Nian grins ominously, looking down, his face partially hidden in shadow. Zhao Nian, with a face twisted in rage, throws Cao Yutian out the window, thinking it's time to change his fate, while the manager screams in horror, "Really?" A close-up shows Cao Yutian's eye wide with terror, covered in sweat at the moment of falling. Yunqi, with his characteristic glowing blue eyes and stern, slightly smirking expression, watches what is happening. Lu Xin looks at Zhao Nian with horror and bewilderment, asking, "Why?" Zhao Nian replies with a contemptuous smirk and lowered gaze that he has hated that fat man for a long time. Lu Xin exclaims with indignation and shock that he killed a person just because of that. Zhao Nian, whose hand begins to glow with blue energy, indifferently asks, "So what?" Surrounded by a powerful blue aura and tensing his muscles, Zhao Nian gloats that the manager became his stepping stone. He chose the warrior profession correctly, and now he will not only survive but become the ruler of the world, while below appears the inscription, Zhao Nian, Level 1 Warrior. Yunqi, with his icy gaze and glowing blue eyes, grimly reflects that in the apocalypse, without laws and morals, human hearts are capable of the unimaginable. Zhao Nian, surrounded by a pink aura and with glowing red eyes, steps forward declaring to Lu Xin that she will be his woman. Lu Xin screams no in horror, trying to fend off Zhao Nian, who grabs her by the hand. Yunqi, sword in hand, delivers a powerful kick to Zhao Nian's side, knocking him away from Lu Xin. Zhao Nian, with a malicious expression and glowing red eyes, looks at Yunqi asking if he is also interested in her. Yunqi, standing in a fighting stance with his sword, corrects Zhao Nian, saying he is only interested in Lu Xin's skills. In Chibi style, Yunqi protects Lu Xin from zombies with a force field, explaining that in the apocalypse, a mage capable of expelling the virus is very valuable. Nian angrily grabs a red fire extinguisher, declaring that anyone who dares to take something from him is looking for death. Zhao, surrounded by his pink aura, swings the fire extinguisher, preparing to attack. Zhao Nian screams as he brings the fire extinguisher down on Yunqi, intending to make him a stepping stone to his dominion in the apocalypse. The hero blocks the fire extinguisher's blow with his sword, sparks flying in all directions. Yunqi looks at his opponent with a surprised expression and glowing blue eyes, thinking, "Huh?" A close-up shows Zhao Nian's bloodied shirt, and Yunqi's thoughts flash with concern that he might be infected. Zhao Nian's face twists into a malicious grin, his eyes glowing red, foreshadowing his transformation. Yunqi, with a glowing eye, reflects that mutation time varies individually and assumes that warriors become much stronger than ordinary zombies after transformation. Yunqi deftly dodges a fire extinguisher strike from above by Zhao Nian, who lets out a strained cry. Yunqi, with a determined look and glowing eyes, prepares to counterattack, thinking he must neutralize this time bomb as soon as possible. Yunqi delivers a powerful jumping kick, knocking Zhao Nian backward. Zhao Nian's face contorts in pain as he screams with his mouth wide open, his eyes still glowing red. From Yunqi's powerful strike, Zhao Nian flies backward. The fire extinguisher shatters into pieces, and blood spurts from the guard's body. Yunqi stands victoriously with his sword in hand over the defeated Zhao Nian, while Lu Xin watches him from the depths of the room. 3 colleagues cover their mouths in horror, shocked that Yunqi has killed another person. Yunqi, clenching his fist, turns away from Lu Xin and looks out the broken window at the sunlit city. Yunqi, with a stern gaze, reflects that people do not learn from words, but what has happened will teach Lu Xin not to be so naive and reckless, while she looks at him with concern. Lu Xin looks at the defeated Zhao Nian, while Yangqi thinks that killing the almost mutated guard will help him control the situation if the others fear him. Yangqi, with a slight smirk and confident look, asks if there are any others who want to take Lu Xin from him. 3 frightened colleagues raise their hands, begging Yangqi to spare them, saying they just want to survive and mean no harm. Yangqi lowers his hand, and his glowing sword dissolves into the air with blue sparks. Yangqi, standing with his back to the others, orders Lu Xin to tend to the wounds, to which she resolutely replies, "All right." Lu Xin directs her hands glowing with green light at Jia Jia, warning that this is her first treatment and asking to be informed if she feels unwell. Yangqi stands by the broken window, touching the laptop screen displaying some kind of program code. Yangqi takes a phone out of his pocket. The phone screen shows a message that the current location is out of service area. Yangqi thinks that the only way to communicate with the outside world is through the game's global chat. Yangqi reads messages in the global chat where people are panicking and sharing information about zombies and possible help. Yangqi concludes that most people are now isolated and helpless, relying only on themselves. Yangqi's game interface is shown with his stats, profession Phantom Knight, and special talent. Yangqi reflects on his talent and permanent skill, deciding not to use it for now. Yangqi decides to temporarily increase the points gained by 10 times for safety. Yangqi is happy that with this boost, his level will grow 10 times faster. Lu Xin complains of intense hunger after using magic. Yangqi watches as his colleagues discuss that there is nothing in the conference room, and if they just hide, they will die of hunger. Yangqi, with a stern expression and glowing blue eyes, thinks there are 20 hours left before the so-called players enter the game. Against the backdrop of a huge blood-red moon and a city swarming with zombies, a warrior with a sword fights monsters, while Yangqi reflects that in 20 hours Earth will face something more terrifying than just a zombie invasion. Yangqi's hand grips a sword glowing with blue light, and he decides he must earn more points before the warm-up period ends. Yangqi, sword in hand, heads toward the exit, while Lu Xin and others anxiously ask what he intends to do and if he is really going out. One colleague panics and shouts that Yangqi has gone mad because outside there are plenty of zombies who will burst in and eat them as soon as the door opens, while the others look at him in horror. Yangqi, with an icy gaze and glowing blue eyes, orders them to step aside. Lucian, worried, asks Yang-Chi if he really has to go out since it is so dangerous outside and they have finally found shelter. Yang-Chi, standing with his back to his colleagues, states that without resources he will hide here, but try to kill zombies outside, and if they want to stay and wait for death, they should close the door behind him. A girl with a frightened expression exclaims that waiting for death is better than seeking it. Two colleagues panic and shout at Yang-Chi, pointing out the danger outside and their defenselessness since they have no weapons. Lucian grabs Yang-Chi's hand, begging him to wait for the military who will surely come to help. Yang-Chi, with a glowing eye, grimly thinks that with the intervention of the apocalyptic game, an official rescue operation is unlikely. Yang-Chi slightly opens the door, and the whole group looks through the broken window at the street bathed in light. Lucian, with pink eyes, and Yang-Chi, with glowing blue eyes, look at something with surprise and bewilderment. A huge futuristic spaceship appears in the sky above the city, accompanied by many smaller flying vehicles, causing amazement among the onlookers. A man in military uniform with a headset introducing himself as Zhao Lian, leader of the 3rd Squad of the military vanguard, calls on all people on Earth not to give up. Below, people joyfully shout about the arrival of rescuers and head to the rooftops, while Yang-Chi continues fighting zombies, with a military ship visible in the background. A frightened girl covered in blood hides behind a door from zombies with red eyes, tears of joy thinking she is saved and the nightmare will soon end. Yang-Chi's colleagues happily exclaim that Lucian was right and the military really came to rescue them, while Yang-Chi himself, sword in hand, calmly says, "Excellent." Zhao Lian, the military squad leader, looks puzzled at something while surrounded by red energy spheres, saying they will work hard to save everyone, but he is clearly confused about something. A powerful explosion occurs, accompanied by a message stating that interference is being eliminated to ensure the normal operation of the game. Yang-Chi and his colleagues watch in horror at what is happening outside, where flashes of fire and destruction are visible. Fiery debris falls from the sky onto the city, destroying buildings and causing chaos. A huge fiery explosion shakes a building, causing it to collapse under the force of the element. People panic and scatter from falling debris and explosions, screaming in terror amid the collapsing city. Yang-Chi, sword in hand, and his companions are blown back by a powerful shockwave caused by the explosion, struggling to keep their balance. The city is engulfed in numerous explosions, destroying buildings and sending columns of smoke and fire into the sky. A huge black object with yellow energy flashes rapidly descends, heralding even greater destruction. Falling, Yang-Chi manages to grab Lucian's hand, saving her from falling into the formed chasm. 3 colleagues scream, "Ah!" as they fall into the chasm formed in the destroyed building. Lucian, eyes wide with terror, desperately screams at Yang-Chi, begging him to save her. Yang-Chi, barely holding Lucian with one hand and gripping the edge of the chasm with the other, thinks with frustration that this is the beginning of hellish difficulty. The hero, with a tense face and a drop of sweat on his temple, looks resolutely ahead, assessing the situation. Yang-Chi, still holding Lucian, suggests they jump together on the count of 3, to which she horrifiedly objects that they will break or get seriously injured. Without waiting for consent, Yang-Chi pushes off the edge and jumps down together with Lucian, who screams in surprise. In midair, Yang-Chi tightly holds the frightened Lucian, who has closed her eyes in fear. The guy and Lucian rapidly fall down against the backdrop of building debris and a bright flash of light. During the fall, the pair is enveloped in a bright white glow that softens their descent. Yang-Chi safely lands on his feet amid the ruined city, holding Lucian in his arms against the backdrop of a huge hieroglyph meaning boom or explosion. Lucian, in Yang-Chi's arms with tears in her eyes, thanks him while he looks resolutely forward amid the ruins. The guy carefully sets the girl down on cracked ground, and her shoes touch the debris. Lucian, surprised with an "ah," watches as Yang-Chi, with a glowing sword in hand, decisively heads deeper into the destroyed area. Ahead, Yang-Chi notices a large green supply box lying among concrete rubble. The girl, eyes wide and a tear on her cheek, thinks in amazement if he jumped here because he saw supplies. Looking at the back of the guy gripping his sword, Lucian admires his incredible adaptability and energy to search for resources, even in such a dangerous situation. Suddenly, an enraged zombie with burning red eyes and sharp claws lunges at Yang-Chi from behind a concrete slab above. The hero instantly reacts, blocking the zombie's attack with his glowing sword, which the monster tries to intercept. With a powerful swing of his sword leaving a blue energy trail behind, Yang-Chi throws back the attacking zombie. The guy steps back, dodging the thrown zombie who lands on his feet, ready for a new attack while Lu Xun watches from the side. The zombie with burning red eyes and bared fangs lets out a furious roar, preparing to attack. Yang Qi, with a determined look, turns around, noticing two more approaching zombies against the backdrop of the ruined city and growling sound effects. The girl watches in horror as new zombies emerge from the ruins, one of which is already very close. The hero finds himself in the center of a whirlwind of fallen zombie bodies, while Lu Xun panics and screams that they are surrounded. Yang Qi and Lu Xun stand back to back, completely surrounded by a crowd of slowly advancing zombies in the ruined square. The guy, with a serious expression, suggests to the girl that they split up due to the overwhelming number of zombies, to which she fearfully asks what she should do if they chase her. The hero rushes forward swiftly, urging Lu Xun to run if the zombies start pursuing her. He delivers a powerful spinning strike with his glowing sword to a red-eyed zombie, cutting off its arm. Yang Qi, with a tense battle cry, looks ahead as a system message notifies him of killing a level 1 zombie and earning 100 points. The guy makes a high jump, escaping from the crowd of growling zombies chasing him below. Lu Xun screams in terror as she runs away from the crowd of zombies chasing her across the ruined concrete plaza. In panic, Lu Xun shouts that she doesn't know how to get rid of the zombies pursuing her. From a bird's-eye view, Yang Qi is seen fighting zombies on one side of a chasm, while Lu Xun runs from other monsters on the opposite side. Yang Qi, fending off zombies, notices Lu Xun running and smirks, commenting that she's doing pretty well, while the girl desperately calls his name. He forcefully swings his sword downward, creating a powerful energy trail. With one swing of his sword, the guy destroys 3 level 1 zombies, earning 300 points as announced by a system notification. Yang Qi and Lu Xun stand amid defeated enemies, but the girl horrifiedly notices a new wave of zombies approaching them from the ruins. The hero, with a determined look and glowing eye, raises his sword ready to face the new threat. The guy fights fiercely, his sword glowing with blue flashes clashing against the claws and fangs of attacking zombies. Yang Qi stands half-turned with a grim and focused expression. A glowing symbol is visible on his forehead, and sparks fly around him. The guy stands with a sword in hand amid defeated zombies, against the backdrop of a ruined building and a red hieroglyph meaning fall. From a bird's-eye view, Yang Qi towers over 5 defeated zombies lying on cracked ground, while Lu Xun watches him from a short distance. Lu Xun leans against a wall with relief, closing her eyes and saying that everything is fine now. Yang Qi smirks contentedly as he examines his sword, thinking that the 10-fold point bonus is almost cheating and lamenting that since he got a forbidden weapon, they might as well have given him a portable Gatling gun. The guy recalls the green supply box he noticed earlier among the ruins. Yang Qi kneels beside the green supply box, reaching out to it against the backdrop of destroyed buildings. A system notification appears congratulating him on discovering supplies dropped by the system and informing him of receiving 1,000 points. Yang Qi, eyes wide with surprise and slightly glowing, thinks about the leaderboard for points. The hero looks at the leaderboard appearing before him, where he ranks 3rd, and is surprised to realize he is listed alongside Fan Gan and Yuan Jing, whom he considers great examples of the human alliance. Against a backdrop of flames, Fan Gan, the war god of the alliance, is shown in a heroic pose with a sword. The text describes him as a civilian hero who led the Alliance Legion and achieved many military successes. The audience is introduced to Yuan Jing, the Alliance spokesperson and patriarch of the Yuan family, known as the Brain of the Congress, who looks seriously into the distance while sitting in his office. Against the backdrop of an apocalyptic red sky, Yuan Jing and Fan Gan stand side by side, embodying humanity's last hope. Yang Qi thoughtfully reflects that the Alliance leaders have scored over 3,000 points, likely by gathering supplies with their elite squads rather than just killing monsters. The hero decides to remain anonymous on the leaderboard, pressing yes on the system prompt to avoid attracting unnecessary attention to himself. Lu Xun approaches Yang Qi, still kneeling by the green box, and curiously asks what is inside. The guy says, "Let's see," and the lid of the green supply box begins to open with a characteristic sound. Holographic images of the box's contents appear before Yang Qi. Life potions, battle boosts, first-level antidotes, and a sharp blade, and he wonders with surprise if these are medical items. The hero examines the red potion in his hand with satisfaction, realizing he can now heal wounds on his own. Yang-Chi glances slyly at a puzzled Lu-Xin and Chibi style, thinking that with such supplies he no longer needs her help since she is weak in combat and only causes problems. The guy suddenly turns sharply with a tense and slightly irritated expression, as if reacting to something. Suddenly, a female zombie with white hair and red eyes lunges at Yang-Chi from above as he prepares for battle with sword drawn, while Lu-Xin watches from the side. The female zombie, with a mad grin, bloodied face, and burning red eyes, looms over Yang-Chi, who looks up at her with an exclamation of surprise. The guy pushes the female zombie away with his sword, shouting for her to stay back, while Lu-Xin in the foreground anxiously reaches out and asks him to be careful. The hero and the female zombie fight fiercely, their blades clashing in a whirlwind of movement, while a confident smirk plays on the monster's face. Yang-Chi forcefully slams his glowing blue sword into the ground, creating a powerful shockwave that cracks the concrete in front of the female zombie. The zombie skillfully jumps back, dodging the shockwave, and lands on an elevation, while Yang-Chi exclaims in amazement at how fast she is. The zombie with flowing white hair, burning red eyes, and a furious snarl rushes forward swiftly, extending bloodied claws. Yang-Chi's face twists in shock. His eyes are wide open and pupils narrowed as he reacts to the opponent's incredible speed. The female zombie attacks the hero with a series of fast claw strikes, leaving red energy trails, forcing him to retreat backward. A powerful explosion throws the female zombie backward, enveloping her in a cloud of dust and debris. Yang-Chi sharply bounces back, planting his hand on the ground, while blue hieroglyphs above him indicate some action. He stands with sword in hand as the female zombie in the background lets out a furious roar, preparing for a new attack. The guy, with a tense face and glowing eyes, thinks that although this zombie is about Lu-Xin's size, she is twice as strong as normal ones and suspects she may have mutated into a monster above level 1. Yang-Chi looks at a glowing item in his hand resembling a syringe and thinks it's a bit troublesome but seems he will have to use it. The hero injects the syringe contents into his neck, and a system message notifies that he used a first-level battle surge potion, increasing all combat attributes by 20% for 10 seconds. The guy, with an irritated expression and wide eyes, complains that the effect lasts only 10 seconds and wonders where this cheap medicine came from. The female zombie with a red glow around her body rushes at the hero from above, claws extended forward. Yang-Chi, with a determined look, swings his sword thinking that it's better than nothing. The guy pierces the female zombie's chest with his sword, and blood spurts from the wound. The zombie, with a face twisted in rage, glowing red eyes, and a huge mouth, lets out a deafening roar. The sharp claws of the female zombie dig forcefully into Yang-Chi's sword, leaving deep scratches on it. The zombie, with a furious scream and glowing red eyes, strikes with its claws, and Yang-Chi, recoiling, tries to dodge the attack. The hero grimaces in pain as he is hit, evidenced by red claw marks and the exclamation, "Ch!" Lu-Xin, eyes wide with horror and mouth open, panics and shouts Yang-Chi's name. The guy crouches, struggling to hold his sword as he blocks the fierce attack of the female zombie looming over him from above. With a determined and tense expression, he continues to resist, deflecting the attack against the backdrop of a cracked wall. The hero, bracing against a stone ledge, pushes the female zombie away with his last strength as she charges at him with a roar, and he thinks with frustration, "Damn it!" Yang-Chi, with a drop of sweat on his temple and a grim look, regrets that the potion's effect has worn off and that he should have taken all the supplies. Against the backdrop of smoke and destruction, an open green supply box is shown, and the guy thinks he needs to find a way to get to it. The female zombie's face is distorted with rage, her glowing red eyes burn, and her huge mouth with sharp teeth is wide open in a deafening roar. Yang-Chi, with a determined smirk and a drop of sweat on his temple, seems to have come up with a plan. He forcefully plunges his sword into the female zombie's head, who looks at him with wide red eyes. Turning sharply, Yang-Chi throws something toward the female zombie, shouting, "Now!" and a bright trail follows the object. Yang-Chi runs at full speed toward the green supply box visible ahead among the ruins. Looking back, the guy anxiously notices the female zombie, surrounded by a red glow, rapidly catching up to him, and he curses, realizing how fast she is approaching. 2 vials, one with red liquid and the other with green, fly through the air accompanied by the shout, "Catch!" Yang-Chi catches one of the vials with surprise, not dropping his sword from the other hand, and exclaims in amazement, "This is..." The hero sees Lu-Xin standing near the supply box in astonishment and calls her name in disbelief. The girl tightly grips a sharp blade that begins to glow green and addresses the zombie with the words, Hey, zombie, what's up? Lu-Shin, with tears in her eyes but a determined face, raises the glowing blade high and desperately shouts, "Look here! Look here!" distracting the female zombie onto herself. The female zombie in chibi style with red eyes and a question mark above her head stops confusedly, indicated by a blue hieroglyph meaning stop. Yang-Chi, with a determined look, injects the contents of the vial into his chest, thinking that Lu-Shin was useful after all at this critical moment. The female zombie's face distorts with rage, her eyes burn red and a roar bursts from her mouth as she shifts her attention to Lu-Shin. The zombie rushes at the girl standing below, while Yang-Chi prepares for action in the background amid a green glow. The hero stands with his sword surrounded by a green aura, and system messages notify that he has used a battle surge potion, increasing attributes by 20%, and a life potion reducing pain by 90%, both lasting 10 seconds. Yang-Chi, with a stern look and glowing eyes, thinks it's time to use these 10 seconds wisely. The female zombie charges forward with a furious roar and burning red eyes, claws extended leaving red trails behind. The guy, surrounded by green energy and with a bloodied hand, prepares to strike. His eyes glow. The hero leaps powerfully upward, leaving green and blue energy trails behind, and attacks the female zombie from above. Yang-Chi's face is contorted with tension, his eyes glowing bright turquoise as he focuses on the attack. The guy delivers a crushing upward sword strike, piercing the female zombie, who is thrown back in a burst of energy and splashes of blood. The female zombie falls lifelessly to the ground, her long hair flowing, and blood continues to seep from numerous wounds. A close-up of the zombie's face distorted in death agony, eyes still burning red, fangs bared, and blood running down her face. Yang-Chi stands with his sword over the defeated monster, while Lu-Shin runs up to him, anxiously asking about his condition. Lu-Shin directs her hands, wrapped in green healing light with plus symbols, toward the guy, offering to heal his wounds with holy light. Yang-Chi looks at Lu-Shin with a surprised and thoughtful expression as he is enveloped by the green glow of healing energy. The hero mentally notes that the girl is developing faster than he expected, against the image of a desperately screaming but determined girl. Lu-Shin looks at the guy with gratitude and admiration, thinking about his strength and how he saved her, even though he could have just taken the supplies. In the girl's thoughts flashes the scene of Yang-Chi fighting zombies, and she decides she will also do her best to help him. The guy, with a slight smile, tells Lu-Shin that everything is fine and reflects that her healing magic is pleasant and useful, perhaps even more than the supply box. The hero, with sword in hand, and Lu-Shin decisively walk away from the defeated monster across cracked ground, with hieroglyphs on the left indicating the action, go. The guy offers the girl a dagger, suggesting she finish off the zombie, to which she asks in surprise if she really has to do it. Yang-Chi explains seriously that no one knows the future, and the most important thing is to become stronger, and the points are not just for him. Lu-Shin, with a drop of sweat on her temple and an uncertain look, takes the dagger, agreeing that she also needs to become stronger and can't always rely on him. The girl stands over the defeated female zombie, who still emits death rattles against the backdrop of a ruined city. The heroine firmly grips the dagger's handle with both hands, preparing to strike. With a loud scream and a face twisted with tension, Lu-Shin raises the dagger high above her head to strike. A close-up shows the moment of the strike, accompanied by splashes of blood and sound effects indicating piercing. Lu-Shin steps away from the finally defeated female zombie, who no longer makes a sound, against the backdrop of destroyed buildings. System messages appear before the girl, notifying that she killed a level 5 zombie, earned 500 points, and received an additional reward, a first-level healing skill for a single target. She excitedly tells Yang-Chi that she received 500 points and the healing skill, while he looks stunned in the background. The guy falls to his knees in despair, calculating that with his tenfold boost it would have been 5,000 points, and laments that she even gained a skill, asking if there are any 5th-level zombies left for him. Little chibi Lu-Shin, with a question mark above her head, asks Yunchi what's wrong, and he, also in chibi style against a backdrop of smoke from destruction, waves it off, saying he just suddenly felt tired. The guy resolutely rises from his knees, looking askance and thinking that it seems he will have to tie this healer to himself for life, otherwise someone will try to take her away. Yunki announces to Lu-Shin that they have run out of supplies and now need to find a safe shelter, and the girl looks at him with some surprise. The hero, with a serious and focused expression, looks aside, pondering their next move. Lucian, with a confident smile and a thumbs up, tells Yunqi that she knows a place with plenty of supplies. The camera shows a top-down view of a city block with a circular square in the center, filled with abandoned cars and marked by traces of recent clashes. The guy with a sword at the ready and the girl swiftly run through a narrow alley between tall buildings. Several bodies of defeated zombies lie on the street, and Lucian notes that there seems to have been a fierce battle here, but Yunqi warns to stay alert, because some zombie might have survived. The hero peeks around the corner, asking Lucian if the shelter she mentioned is right opposite the Green Bay residential complex. The camera shows a view of tall buildings of the residential complex against the sunset sky, while the girl below asks if this is his home. Lucian, surprised and slightly blushing, asks how Yunqi knows this, to which he replies that he heard male colleagues often asking for rides to her home, and he's not stupid enough not to figure it out. She enthusiastically admits to selfish motives for checking on her parents, but assures she didn't lie about the supplies, as her thrifty mother stores many vegetables and fruits from the farm in the attic, enough to last them a long time, shown against images of a full fridge and shelves stocked with food. Lucian shyly fixes her hair and hopefully suggests Yunqi stay at her house, adding that she would like to introduce him to her parents. The guy, with a serious look and slight irritation on his face, states that they have come too far to give up, and since the zombies around are destroyed, they should make a supply run while embarrassed Lucian stands behind him. The guys step outside and he points the way, suggesting she go ahead. Yunqi stops Lucian by grabbing her hand and seriously asks if she remembers what he has repeatedly told her. The girl confidently smiles, assuring she remembers everything, and begins listing that in an apocalypse, besides zombies, there are 3 types of people you shouldn't mess with. She continues her explanation, mentioning the first type, people who were skilled fighters even before the apocalypse, especially assassins who can enhance their skills, shown against an image of an assassin in dark clothes with 2 daggers and a system window describing the assassin class, its attributes, and bonus to ignoring target defense. Lucian continues, describing the second type, shooters who now, as first-level novices, can kill with 1 shot, but only they can use firearms, making them very dangerous and forcing you to run quickly when encountered, shown against an image of a shooter with a sniper rifle and a system window describing the shooter class. The third type, according to Lucian, are beast tamers who do not fight themselves but command their tamed animals, being at this stage undisputed kings, shown against an image of a female tamer with a huge roaring beast and a system window describing the beast tamer class. Yunqi and Lucian walk down a sunlit street among ruined buildings, and Lucian thoughtfully says that 3 of the 6 basic classes look very dangerous, but wonders if they are really that strong. The guy walking down the street looks seriously to the side and confirms that, of course, you need to be especially careful with shooters, because in a conflict with them, death can come before you even notice. Suddenly, a red laser sight dot appears on Yunqi's chest, and he turns sharply with a surprised and alarmed expression. The hero jumps aside at the last moment, dodging the shot that hits the ground near him, leaving a crack. Yunqi exclaims with a scared expression and a drop of sweat on his temple, "Shooter!" while Lucian below screams his name in horror. The camera shows a view from behind the hero. A red laser beam stretches from him to the source of the shot, passing by the bodies of 2 dead people on the street filled with cars. A sniper in tactical gear appears on the roof of a building, reporting through his rifle scope to Captain Han about spotting 2 zombies in the southeast part of Zone A. Yunqi, with a tense and frightened face, realizes that this is the shooter, exactly what they feared. The guys with raised hands are visible through the sniper scope, and Yunqi shouts for them not to shoot, saying they are just people passing by. The sniper, wearing tactical glasses and an earpiece, sternly orders them to stand still and prove they are still human if they want to survive. Yunqi, with a drop of sweat on his temple and a confused expression, asks how they can prove it, while Lucian behind him looks scared with her hands raised. The hero suddenly turns around with his sword raised, seeing a zombie crawling toward him with glowing red eyes. A close-up shows the zombie's face distorted with rage, glowing red eyes and bared fangs, emitting a loud roar. Yunqi jumps and strikes downward with his sword, piercing the zombie's head, causing blood to splatter. The guy stands with his sword in hand over the defeated zombie, and a system message notifies of killing a first-level zombie and earning 100 points. While he thinks he did it to dispel doubts about their humanity, but also that earning points this way is easy. Yunki points to another zombie, urging Lucian not to stand frozen but to finish off the enemy and get free points, to which the girl resolutely replies, yes. Lucian looks forward with a determined and slightly scared expression, clutching a glowing blue dagger in her hands. The girl, hair flowing and face tense, plunges the glowing dagger into the head of a roaring zombie, and a system message notifies of killing a first-level zombie and earning 10 points. Several system messages appear, each confirming the killing of a first-level zombie and awarding 100 or 10 points. A man in tactical gear angrily shouts at someone behind a panel, demanding they bring his girl and stop trying to earn points. A flushed woman reacts with surprise to the word girl, while the man behind her looks worried. A group of armed people in tactical gear moves down a city street, seemingly searching for something. Another group of armed people is spotted in the city, and one of them notes that most seem to be shooters with a few mages. A man surveys the remaining group, noting the presence of knights, warriors, and beast tamers holding strong positions. A woman reports to the man, presumably the captain, that two people they are observing have no visible injuries. The man in tactical gear sarcastically comments on the luck of these two people, arriving unharmed and not encountering law enforcement. The man asks if they are order guards from the city's public security department. The man explains that survivors from neighboring streets were evacuated, and they will leave soon, thinking these two people were lucky to come at this time. Yunki looks seriously to the side, thinking it's no surprise that there are only zombie corpses around and no other people. Two armed men in tactical gear greet their Captain Han, while Yunqi and Lucian stand before them on the street next to an armored vehicle. Captain Han Yi from the law enforcement group stands with a stern and determined expression, wearing a bulletproof vest. Captain Han Yi introduces himself and asks Yunqi and Lucian how they, as survivors, managed to get here. Lucian, with worry in her voice, addresses Captain Han, saying they are from the Green Bay residential complex, and asks if he knows what is happening there, as her parents are probably still there. Captain Han Yi, with a grim expression, reports that the danger level in Green Bay is very high, and if her parents are there, they most likely cannot be helped anymore. Lucian exclaims in horror with tears welling up in her eyes. What? Shocked by the captain's words. Yunqi places a hand on the shocked Lucian's shoulder, trying to calm her while she looks ahead with a frightened expression. Yunqi, embracing Lucian, seriously asks Captain Han how he can be so sure there are no survivors in Green Bay, given the lack of communication and inability to transmit information. A young fighter from Captain Han's squad angrily shouts at Yunqi, asking if he is questioning their captain's words, while the captain calmly orders him to stand down. Captain Han Yi, with a serious look, explains that his team tried to contact survivors via the global channel, and although at first the residents of Green Bay responded, there has been no news from them for half an hour. Against the backdrop of a ruined area with many bodies, presumably zombies, in front of a tall building, Captain Han adds that most of the zombies came from there, and he fears the entire district has fallen since one cannot handle such numbers alone. Yunqi lowers his gaze with a dark and thoughtful expression, pondering what he has heard. Captain Han Yi, looking aside, advises Lucian not to take risks, as her parents would most likely want her to live rather than die in vain. Yunqi hugs the crying Lucian, who looks down in despair, while he thinks the captain is right and she shouldn't go there now because she might not cope with what she sees. Suddenly, a huge fragment crashes down next to Captain Han, Yunqi, and Lucian, making them anxiously look up. One of the fighters runs up to Captain Han, shouting that something dangerous is approaching from the north, and it's not zombies, causing the captain to turn around in surprise. Yunqi exclaims with wide eyes in shock as he realizes what exactly is approaching. A huge pack of boar-like creatures with glowing red eyes rushes down the city street, raising clouds of dust and debris. A close-up shows the enraged face of one of the mutated boar zombies with bloodied fangs and burning red eyes. Captain Han's squad fighters prepare for battle, raising shields and grabbing weapons. Shooters move forward, taking the first line of defense with rifles ready. Knights and warriors with swords and shields form the second line of defense, preparing to support. Mages in the rear prepare to use their healing magic as soon as the battle begins. An observer notes the coordination and organization of Captain Han's squad, despite the recent start of the apocalypse. One of the fighters reports to Captain Han that the mutated boars have entered the kill zone. Captain Han decisively orders to open fire. The fighters open fire on the approaching pack of mutated boars, protected by a magical barrier. Bullets hit the boars, blood splattering everywhere, some creatures falling dead. Several boars shot in midair tumble, leaving bloody trails. A fighter in tactical glasses shouts anxiously to Captain Han that if this continues, the monsters will soon break through their defense line. Captain Han Yi looks grimly to the side, realizing that even their strongest fire support cannot stop these beasts. Captain Han orders all squad members to retreat behind the bunker, and the fighters with shields and weapons begin an organized withdrawal. Two fighters with tense faces shout about running low on ammo and needing to reload. A wounded fighter with a rifle in his hands tries to run away, desperately shouting that his leg is injured and he can't run fast enough. A huge mutated boar with glowing red eyes looms over the fallen wounded fighter, preparing to attack. Another fighter shouts in horror, "Lao Wang!" seeing his comrade in mortal danger. A powerful jet of water suddenly bursts from below, tossing the attacking boar into the air and throwing it away from the fighter, who screams in surprise. Yunqi calmly stands with his sword behind his back, directing the water jet from a fire hydrant, while one of the fighters looks at him in amazement. Captain Han Yi, with surprise and some admiration, notes that Yunqi used a high-pressure water jet to repel the zombie boars, acknowledging his resourcefulness. A fighter with a shield looks at Yunqi standing with his sword, while two other fighters help the wounded comrade Lao Wang, who is noted to have survived this time. Captain Han thanks Yunqi for saving a team member, to which Yunqi replies that he didn't want the smell of human blood to attract even more monsters, as they are sensitive to scents. Yunqi, with a determined look, thinks that he initially wanted to observe their combat capabilities, not expecting to have to intervene so quickly. A huge enraged pack of boars with red eyes rushes forward, and someone wonders how many there really are. Captain Han shouts furiously, ordering the rocket team to prepare for cover. Fighters with rocket launchers on their shoulders run forward, confirming receipt of the order. A soldier aims a rocket launcher, and a rocket with a fiery trail streaks toward the pack of boars. A powerful explosion tears through the front ranks of the boars, scattering them to the sides. Flashes from new explosions are visible in the sky, while the battle with the boars continues below. Numerous explosions light up the battlefield, tossing boars into the air and creating chaos. A lone mutated boar with glowing red eyes continues rushing forward through lightning and destruction against the backdrop of city buildings. Yunqi, with a serious expression, reflects that without hitting vulnerable spots, killing these creatures with projectiles is too inefficient. A fighter with a rocket launcher calls to fire several more rounds to tear the creatures apart, while another fighter below laments that this is their last round. Yunqi, holding his sword, decisively approaches the fighter with the rocket launcher and asks to borrow the weapon. The fighter with the rocket launcher looks puzzled and hesitates as Yunqi reaches for his weapon. Yunqi, with eyes glowing blue, aims the rocket launcher, from whose barrel emits a bright glow, preparing to fire. A powerful fiery explosion engulfs a group of mutated boars rushing down the street between buildings. The fighter from whom Yunqi took the rocket launcher shouts in shock, asking the rookie what he is doing and claiming he fired in the wrong direction. The camera pans upward, showing a building collapsing under the explosion, scattering smoke and debris. A bird's-eye view shows the aftermath of the explosion. Many fallen boars lie among smoke and rubble on the destroyed street. A fighter with short hair and wide eyes exclaims that the enemies are defeated. Yunqi glances back with a slight smile, thinking he was right, while Captain Han Yi standing behind acknowledges that this guy is really good. A bloodied mutated boar with glowing red eyes tries to crawl out from under a huge concrete slab pressing on it, while in the foreground, a fang of another boar is visible. Captain Han Yi shouts fiercely, warning that the monsters have started to recover. There are too many of them, and vigilance cannot be relaxed. A soldier reports to Captain Khan that the emergency generators at the nuclear power plant have been out of order for 72 hours. The captain realizes the seriousness of the situation and makes a decision. He orders the vice captain, a professional electrician, to lead the squad and repair the cable. The soldiers in protective gear prepare to unroll a huge power cable near the armored vehicles. Suddenly, a horde of fierce mutant boars bursts out from the flooded streets. The vice captain runs up with a sparking cable, shouting that he has it. Captain Khan panics and orders to immediately throw the cable into the water. A soldier shouts, "Make way!" swinging the huge cable, ready to throw it. The exposed end of the cable plunges into the water, releasing a powerful electric discharge. Electricity instantly spreads through the water, striking the entire pack of monsters. The monsters roar in pain as electric shocks pierce their bodies. The fierce boars thrash in agony under the powerful voltage. The system awards experience points for each mutant killed. The vice captain rejoices, confident that the surviving creatures are severely weakened. A soldier admires the incredible power of the emergency generator. But Captain Khan explains that it's due to the metal and salt enhancing the water's conductivity. The soldier is amazed at how quickly Khan found a solution using available resources. He realizes that the captain's ability to adapt is simply frightening. However, it's too early to celebrate. Some boars are rising, ready for a new attack. Shouting, "Kill!" the squad led by Khan charges into close combat. Captain Khan prepares to face a mutant boar charging at him. He takes a powerful hit on his shield, shaking the ground. The force of the blow throws the soldiers back, demonstrating the creature's incredible strength. Khan realizes these monsters are stronger than level 5 zombies. His squad barely holds the assault, shouting that they won't last long. The captain understands that delay is deadly and decides to turn the tide of battle. At that moment, the fiercest boar rushes straight at him. Against all odds, Khan prepares to meet the attack head-on, raising his shield forward. The vice captain screams in horror, telling him not to do it, predicting certain death. But Khan calmly declares, "I won't be the one to die." Khan forcefully drives his shield into the asphalt, ready for the collision. He smirks, calling the charging monster a dumb pig. Using the beast's momentum, the captain flips it over himself. The huge boar's body flies through the air, leaving a bloody trail behind. The system reports the mutant's death and awards 2,000 points. Khan gains a new class skill, first level Resurrection. He finally acquired a class skill and is overjoyed. The captain looks at the fallen boar, deciding to immediately test his new power. With a sly smile, he says, "Rise, darling," but then corrects himself, shouting, "No, rise, you dumb pig!" The boar's body is enveloped in an ominous green aura. Its eyes ignite. The monster rises from the dead, now a loyal servant of the captain. A soldier shouts at Khan to step back, not realizing the boar is already under his control. The soldier watches in horror, convinced that the captain is in mortal danger. But Khan jumps onto the beast's back and charges into battle, shocking the soldier to his core. The captain dislikes the nickname Pig Rider, considering it disgusting. However, he admits that the combat power of this resurrected monster is impressive. Shouting, "I can handle this," he raises his sword, ready to exterminate the remaining creatures. Riding the ghostly beast, he rushes through enemies, earning thousands of points. His squad watches in complete amazement at their captain's incredible strength. The captain on his beast breaks through the ranks of mutants, sowing chaos. The resurrected boar mercilessly bites into the flesh of its kin. The system again reports a kill and awards 2,000 points. The vice captain orders the shooters to cover Khan at all costs. Khan easily repels the attack of another monster jumping at him. Looking over the battlefield strewn with bodies, the captain states, "Almost done." But a new threat appears around the corner, silhouettes with glowing eyes. It's a horde of zombies, and they are already rushing straight at the surviving soldiers. The vice captain encourages the squad, promising that after this battle they will return home. The soldiers shout, "Yes!" raising their weapons, ready for the final fight. But suddenly a woman's scream orders them not to kill the dead. Captain Khan recognizes her. It's Lu Xin, whom the vice captain tries to hold back. Her face shows genuine horror at the approaching horde. Khan is puzzled by her behavior and begins to suspect a terrible reason. Two zombies with glowing red eyes break away from the crowd. Through tears, the girl screams that these two are her father and mother. The vice captain desperately yells at her not to approach them, but Lu Xin ignores him and slowly walks toward her zombie parents. Captain Khan stands in her way, explaining that these are no longer the people she knew. The vice captain, furious, orders everyone to prepare for battle, not understanding Khan's hesitation. The vice captain ignores the girl, and his squad roars as they charge into attack. But Khan on his beast jumps over Lu Xin, positioning himself between her and the zombies. Her zombie parents angrily rush forward, intent on tearing him apart. The captain and his boar crash to the ground, scattering the dead with a shockwave. He drives his sword into the asphalt, creating a barrier between the girl and the horde. Khan finds himself in a tight ring of zombies, realizing his position is very dangerous. He prepares alone to hold back the entire horde's assault, protecting the girl behind him. Suddenly, the soldiers open a barrage of fire, covering their captain. The squad's snipers take careful aim, shooting the zombies closest to Khan. Khan sees his people's determination and understands that now he must act. The vice captain reproaches Khan for trying to play the hero alone. The soldiers decide to join Khan, unwilling to let him have all the points. Khan smirks and offers a deal. Everyone fights for themselves and doesn't steal others' loot. Shouting, "Kill!" the squad plunges into the thick of the battle with the horde. 20 minutes later, Khan is still cutting through endless rows of zombies. The vice captain, covered in blood, desperately holds back the assault with his battered shield. The battlefield is littered with dead bodies, and the survivors barely stand on their feet. Khan drives his sword into the ground, and silence falls over the battlefield. The battle is over. He admits with relief that he wouldn't have survived without the squad's help. Lu Xun runs up to Khan, excitedly offering to heal him immediately. The girl uses holy light to heal the captain's wounds. With tears in her eyes, she fears being completely alone if he dies too. Khan says his wounds have almost healed and advises her to say goodbye to her parents. He hands her his sword, greatly surprising the girl. Her zombie parents have not yet disappeared and moan plaintively lying on the ground. In despair, she cries, "Dad! Mom!" looking at them. She realizes he rushed into battle alone to give her a chance to say goodbye. Thanking him, Lu Xun takes the sword from his hands. With the sword in hand, she approaches her parents, who greet her with a furious roar. Her zombie parents reach out to her with hatred, ready to attack. Lu Xun, tears in her eyes, tries to reach her parents by calling her name. Khan understands her pain and offers to do everything for her if she can't. The girl tells them she is alive and has found someone she can rely on. She promises she will live well while her zombie parents continue growling. With tears in her eyes, she raises the sword, asking them not to worry anymore. With a cry of despair, she vows to put an end to their suffering. The vice captain is shocked to receive a system message. His resurrected pet is dead. Lu Xun sinks to the ground next to her parents' bodies while Khan silently watches her. The vice captain falls to his knees in despair, shouting the name of his fallen boar. He can't believe that his mighty beast was killed by this girl with a single sword strike. The vice captain watches as the soldiers burn the corpses to prevent their resurrection. In tears, he tries to lift his dead boar, begging it to wake up. Lu Xun asks in surprise why he grieves more than she does, since those were her parents. The girl turns away and calls for the mages to help the wounded soldiers. She thanks Khan and goes to heal others while he rests by his beast's body. Khan thinks that in the law enforcement squad, no one will pay attention to her powers. Besides, he believes that work will help her distract herself from her grief. Suddenly, a system message interrupts his thoughts. Someone is trying to contact him. Khan turns around and sees the enraged vice captain calling him. With anger in his voice, the vice captain asks Khan what's going on. The vice captain asks Khan if he really didn't hear anything. The deputy brushes it off, saying nothing happened, and leaves Khan puzzled. Khan realizes that only he heard the voice and assumes it's related to the game interface. Suddenly, loud voices from voice chat ring out in his head. A window with channel selection appears before him, and he notices a group chat. A system message congratulates him on joining the group Wanderers of the Apocalypse. Suddenly, his consciousness is transported elsewhere. He finds himself at a huge round table surrounded by 9 mysterious silhouettes. Khan realizes he is in his own mind space, sitting on chair number 7. He wonders where this group came from, since NPCs don't have this function yet, and it's impossible to leave the chat. He understands that the group composition was determined from the very beginning. Khan tries to figure out what this mysterious group is and who all these people are. One of the silhouettes mockingly asks if his parents didn't explain anything when they gave him that thing. Khan, confused, asks again what exactly they are talking about. He guesses they are talking about the sword his sister recently gave him. A mysterious girl declares that they are all wanderers of the apocalypse, and their paths may diverge. Khan demands an explanation of what it really means to be a wanderer of the apocalypse. The girl is about to answer, but she is interrupted. The same mocking voice interrupts, explaining that it's a code name for the 10 owners of Titan artifacts. It turns out that 3 months ago, the Titan system foresaw changes and distributed 10 artifacts to chosen ones. These 10 artifacts are like a virus in the game, using its data to empower their owners. Khan realizes that his family gave him the Blade of Destruction so that he, the runaway son, could survive. One of the group members urges Khan to answer faster, reproaching him for being impolite. Ignoring the reproach, Khan asks if everyone is in the capital and how the great families are doing. He is told that Titan warned everyone, and the families recalled their children, but not all were saved. Khan is relieved to realize that his Yoon family seems to be all right. Another member asks about compatibility, showing that his own is only 10%. It turns out everyone has the same compatibility, which makes one of them bored and disappointed. The girl says goodbye, urging everyone to share information, and the members begin to leave the chat. Khan's consciousness returns to reality, and he is once again standing in the middle of the ruined city. Khan thinks that the Titan artifact is a powerful plug-in, but he can't trust the other owners. He grips his sword, wondering if the artifact has a mind of its own. Suddenly, a small blue dragon appears from the sword and praises him for his insight. Khan is delighted, realizing how cool a plug-in he has received. He worries that someone might notice the little dragon, but it assures him that only the owner can see it. Khan asks if it is the main brain of Titan, but the little dragon denies it. The creature in dark glasses introduces itself as a clone of the Titan intelligence named Virtuous Ancestor. Khan snorts skeptically, assuming the real Titan is at the military headquarters. The guy asks the ancestor for some cheats, but he replies that he has already given him a strong class and talent. The ancestor explains that since the game hasn't started yet, his abilities are limited, and Khan will have to survive on his own. Khan doubts that this system seems very reliable. He decides to wait for the official game start when Lucian's brother calls out to him. The girl runs up to him and asks what he was so deeply thinking about. The captain thanks Lucian for healing his severely wounded soldiers. He inquires about their further plans and offers them to join his squad. Khan politely declines the offer, stating that he intends to leave the city. Lucian immediately declares that she will go anywhere with him, which greatly surprises him. The captain calls them a loving couple and agrees that it will be safer outside the city. In gratitude for saving them, he offers them his transport so they can leave. Khan takes the keys but anxiously asks how the captain himself will get around then. The captain replies that he and his comrades are always together in life and in death. Saying goodbye, he jokingly asks them not to turn into monsters or it will be hard to fight. Khan and Lucian remain alone, ready for a new journey. The girl asks why he refused the captain's offer since it would be safer with the squad. Khan explains that since the game rules are unclear, crowded places are the most dangerous. He asks Lucian if she knows the way to the farm, and she confirms she can find it. Lucian suspiciously asks if he is trying to trick her again into going to her relatives. Ignoring her question, Khan raises the key and suggests finding the captain's gift. They find the transport left for them, a futuristic motorcycle. Looking at the motorcycle, Lucian doubts and asks if this is really the gift. The captain left them not just transport, but a real futuristic bike. Khan is delighted, exclaiming that it's simply amazing.